What does a Phase 1 environmental site assessment include? Well, here is an overview of what a Phase 1 environmental site assessment typically includes. Historical research. This involves reviewing historical records, maps, aerial photographs, and other documents to determine the past uses of the property and nearby areas. The goal is to identify any potential sources of contamination or hazardous materials. Site inspection. A site visit is conducted to visually inspect the property and its surroundings. A tollmark representative will assess the current condition of the site, look for signs of contamination, and note any potential environmental hazards. Interviews. An investigator may conduct interviews with current and past property owners, tenants, and neighbors to gather information about the property's history and any known environmental issues. Government records review. This involves researching government records such as permits, environmental violation notices, and regulatory agency databases to identify any regulatory or compliance issues related to the property. Geological and hydrogeological evaluation. The assessment may include a review of the geological and hydrogeological characteristics of the property to assess the potential for contamination to migrate through the soil or groundwater. Hazardous materials inventory. A review of the property's current and past uses to identify any potentially hazardous materials or substances that may have been used or stored on the site. Report preparation. The findings of the Phase 1 environmental are compiled into a detailed report. This report will typically include a summary of the historical research, site inspection findings, interviews, regulatory compliance assessment, and recommendations for further action if necessary. Conclusion and recommendations. The Phase 1 environmental site assessment report will conclude with recommendations which may include additional environmental testing, such as a Phase 2 environmental site assessment if potential contamination is identified. If no significant issues are found, the report may recommend proceeding with the real estate transaction or development project. It's important to note that a Phase 1 ESA is typically not intended to provide a definitive assessment of environmental conditions but rather to identify potential environmental concerns that may require further investigation. If significant issues are identified, a Phase 2 environmental site assessment involving sampling and laboratory analysis may be recommended to assess the extent and nature of contamination.